Here are today's top stories. The Defense Department accuses CPP founder Jose Maria Sison of being insincere in holding peace talks with the government. The Presidential Communications Operations Office launches a mechanism to stop the spread of fake news. Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio warns against pyramid and scam groups operating in Davao City. And Gehe Eustaquio beats Brazilian Adriano Moraes to win the One Flyweight Championship. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Founding chairman of the Communist Party of the Philippines, Jose Maria Sison, is being accused of acting insincere in pushing for the peace talks with the government. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana says Sison's name calling of President Rodrigo Duterte does not reflect the sincerity of the New People's Army to resolve the long-running insurgency. He also criticized Sison for insisting to hold peace talks in a foreign country like Norway instead of the Philippines to resolve a domestic conflict. Lorenzana, a retired Major General of the Philippine Army who saw action at the height of the Moro Rebellion in Mindanao in the 1970s and 80s, blasted Sison for ordering the NPA of an all-out war and oust the president. He points out that Sison is exiled comfortably in the Netherlands while the NPA rebels risk their lives fighting. The defense chief meanwhile insists that the government is sincere in its effort for the long-drawn peace talks to be successful. The on and off peace negotiations between the government and the communist rebels have been going on for 50 years without finding a genuine and lasting solution. During the regular Monday meeting of the Judicial and Bar Council, or JBC, opened the application for the position of Chief Justice. This follows after the Supreme Court affirmed the ouster of former Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno last week through a quo warranto petition filed by the Office of the Solicitor General. Also during the meeting, the JBC has come up with a short list of 8 names to replace Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of Vice Associate Justice Presbiterio J. Velasco Jr., who will be retiring on August 8, 2018. These are Apolinario Brosales Jr., Rosmarie Carandang, Ramon Garcia, Ramon Paul Hernando, Amy Lozaro Javier, Jose Maidas Marquez, Jose Reyes Jr., and Cesar Villanueva. The deadline for filing and completing all requirements is on July 26, 2018. The 5 most senior Associate Justices of the Supreme Court are automatically nominated, subject to the submission of a written acceptance of nomination to be submitted on or before July 26, 2018. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara said the selection for Sereno's successor will be based on merits and qualifications and in accordance with the JBC rules. To qualify for a position in the judiciary, one has to be a natural-born citizen of the Philippines and should possess proven competence, integrity, probity, and independence. Those applying to the 15-member SC should also be at least 40 years old, a judge of a lower court, or had been engaged in the practice of law in the country. President Rodrigo Duterte needs to appoint Sereno's replacement by September 16. The Presidential Communications Operations Office launched over the weekend a mechanism to stop the spreading of misinformation and fake news. More on this from Janice Cabe.
Communications Secretary Martin Andanar and other officials of the Presidential Communications Operations Office launched the Provincial Communications Officers Network to help government educate the public in countering the spread of fake news and disinformation. Andanar cited the gains of the Duterte administration, such as the almost double growth of foreign direct investments into the country and the significant drop of crime volume, which has earned the Philippines a favorable image as an investment hub. Andanar said the good news from the government are drowned by bad news and fake news, especially through social media. The Philippine Information Agency will take the lead in educating the public about the dangers of fake news, alongside the PCOO-attached agencies like the Philippine News Agency, Radyo Pilipinas, People's Television Network, and the online platforms of Radio TV Malacanang, PCOO, and the PIA. Private media and the information officers are also crucial to address fake news. PIA Director General Harold Clavitas said addressing disinformation should be a government, community, private sector, academic effort. Clavitas said that PIA will roll out the advocacy campaign on media and information literacy by the second semester, which basically educates the public on how to counter wrong information and promote cyber wellness. The campaign is an offshoot of the ASEAN commitment to address these issues. PCOO Director Princess Pebbles Duque also gave a briefing on the agency's priority program on Dismiss Disinformation campaign. Primary objectives of the PCO Net are to deliver news and updates from Malacanang straight to the LGUs and enhance their quality of communication for a more integrated messaging. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
The Mega Manila Subway project may be able to serve the public before the end of the Duterte administration. Presidential Communications Operations Office Secretary Martin Andanar says the subway project will start its construction this year, may have 2 to 3 operational stations by the time President Duterte steps down. The partial interoperability of the project is expected to gradually ease traffic along EDSA. The partially finished subway system, which is expected to open by 2022, will likely serve the west area of Quezon City up to Monumento. The subway project was discussed in a high-level joint infrastructure and economic meeting with the Prime Minister's office in Japan. Other projects from Japan that were discussed are additional bridges in provinces and the spillway project in Marikina. The Philippine Navy now has the capability to join the largest international naval exercise in the world. 2 Philippine Navy ships will join the Rim of the Pacific exercise, or RIMPAC 2018, which will be held in Hawaii from June 26 to August 5. BRP Davao del Sur and BRP Andres Bonifacio will include a 700-strong contingent, have joined other foreign navies in the vicinity of Johnston Atoll on the way to Honolulu. Navy spokesman Commander Jonathan Zata says the Navy's capabilities were boosted through the government support for the AFP modernization program. He says that with its newly bought assets, the Navy can fulfill better its diplomatic role to uphold peace and stability in the Asia-Pacific region. Still to come, banking officials express optimism over the Philippine economy amid challenges in the global and local market. Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio warns against pyramiding scam groups operating in Davao City. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Ulat sa ginagawa ng Presidente.
June 14, Huwebes, Taguig City. Nakidalamhati si Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte sa pamilya ni yumaong former National Security Advisor Roylo Goles. Santa Rosa, Laguna. Pinanumpa ng Chief Executive ang mahigit 4,000 bagong halal na punong barangay mula sa Calabarzon. June 16, Sabado, Davao City. Nakisaya si Pangulong Duterte kasama ang mga kapatid nating Muslim sa selebrasyon ng pagtatapos ng Ramadan o Eid al-Fitr.
We will try to pass the BBL. I hope Chairman Miswari can be convinced to join the talks so that if there are corrections or maybe additions or provisions that would not sit well with Tausug and the rest of the southern part of Mindanao, then maybe we can realize altogether the friction of the MI, MN, and the rest of Mindanao.
June 18, Lunes, Pasay City. Pinagkalooban ng Pangulo ng Gawad Mabini ang mga opisyal ng Department of Foreign Affairs na nag-alay ng natatanging paglilingkod para sa kapakanan at karangalan ng Pilipinas sa ibang bansa. June 19, Martes, Pasay City. Dumalo ng Pangulo sa 81st anniversary celebration ng Government Service Insurance System o GSIS. Nag-apply na rin sila para magkaroon ng Unified Multi-Purpose Identification Card o UMID-ID. June 20, Miyerkules, Kabatuan, Iloilo. Ipinadama ng Pangulo ang pagmamahal sa mga benepisaryong magsasaka na pinamahagian niya ng halos 4,000 Certificate of Land Ownership Award sa Western Visayas.
You know, I was elected by the people, chosen to serve the government, and therefore I am just a worker of government. You do not have to thank me for you owe me nothing. Lahat po yan ay binili ng gobyerno, gastos ng gobyerno. I am just doing what is expected of me.
Ako po si Secretary Martin Andanar at ito ang Duterte on Duty. Abangan sa susunod na linggo ang mga gagawin ng Pangulo.
Banking officials have expressed optimism with the Philippine economy due to government spending and responses to uncertainties in the market. More on this from Miguel Hill.
Executives of Asia United Bank are still optimistic with the Philippine economy despite the risks and challenges in both domestic and global markets. During its stockholders meeting Friday, AUB President Manuel Gomez cited the increasing interest rates and inflation, slowing global economy, normalization of policy in advanced economies like the United States and Europe, as well as threats of trade war, pose challenges and volatility in the local financial market. He says AUB is optimistic that the domestic economy stays driven by healthy consumption and the government's spending on infrastructure fueling the growth. For AUB Executive Vice President and Head of Treasury Antonio Agcawili Jr., he said the back-to-back policy interest rate hikes made by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas in May and June is no big threat to the economy. He says they think the gross domestic product forecast given by the central bank is still within 6.8 to 7%, is still pretty much achievable and attainable. Gomez noted that AUB this year is banking on sustained lending growth, branch expansion, increased low-cost funding sources, strengthening its manpower training and development, and intensifying its information technology collaboration. He added that the bank is also increasing its expenditures for this year by 23%, higher than the 13% growth in spending for 2017. AUB likewise plans to open 50 new branches this year. 4 branches will be located in Mindanao, 3 in Visayas, 2 in Northern Luzon, and 2 in Southern Luzon. 3 new branches will be launched in the National Capital Region as well. AUB also partnered with Alipay following its successful tie-up with WeChat Pay, eyeing to tap millions of Chinese tourists coming to the Philippines. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez reiterates that there should be no longer any safety issue on the use of quenched and tempered or QT steel for the construction of high-rise buildings. Lopez made the statement as former Senator Nicky Coseteng brought up QT Steel's safety issue and exposed that developers rather have been using low-quality steel for high-rise buildings in the country. The DTI chief says Coseteng's claims have already been debunked during the consultations with stakeholders and in fora with technical experts and metallurgical engineers. Lopez stressed that QT steel has been in use for more than 30 years and this technology is also accepted worldwide. He says each developer conducts their test upon delivery at the project site, aside from getting the certification of the Bureau of Philippine Standards. The high-rise buildings are also done by leading developers with top-notch engineers who know specifications of steel to order. Newly elected village officials in Cavite are urged to help stop the spread of illegal drugs and criminality in their respective barangays. Special Assistant to the President Christopher Bongo gave this challenge as he graced the oath-taking of some 2,000 newly elected village and Sangguniang Kabataan officials. Go asked for the help of Cavite's new officials in the Duterte administration's three-point campaign against illegal drugs, criminality, and corruption. He added that local officials should be generous with their time and be prudent with money and resources of community. Thousands of newly elected local execs in Iloilo and Guimaras also took their oath in a mass oath-taking ceremony at the Iloilo Convention Center. House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez, who administered the oath, reiterated his call to support the campaign of the current administration against illegal drugs. He also called on them to support the change to a federal type of government. Compostela Valley is hosting the observance of International Day Against Drug Abuse tomorrow, June 26. Compostela Valley Governor J.V. Tyrone Uy says the Dangerous Drugs Board has chosen the province for the launching of the event, where they presented the campaign dubbed as Oplan Liwanag. The activity aims to spread the word that the Philippines joins the rest of the world in the campaign against illegal drugs and illicit human trafficking. The provincial government will focus on informing the youth of the effects of illegal drugs. Activities in store throughout the way include a fun run, poster-making contest, and songwriting contest for drug surrenderers and students. Attending the event tomorrow are Special Assistant to the President's Secretary Bongo, Dangerous Drugs Board Director Catalino Cuy, DILG Secretary Eduardo Año, and PNP Director General Oscar Albayalde. Another scam is reportedly circulating in Davao City that is victimizing residents through so-called pyramiding. Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio says the scammers claim to have connections with her to recruit members. The suspected pyramiding scam groups reportedly held an activity in Barangay Mintal, Tugbok District last Saturday. The mayor says the city government does not endorse the activities of the groups. She said they have endorsed the incident to the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI, for proper action. The mayor urged residents to refrain from associating or spending money on suspected pyramiding investment scams. In our Salam segment, the oldest mosque in Zamboanga stands a symbol of peace with a wording of Imam Islam Jubail Buhaini, professes religion and promotes as way of life. Here is our report.
This oldest mosque in Zamboanga is a symbol of peace, which Islam professes as religion and promotes as a way of life. Such is the famous Talugsangay Mosque, the first mosque in Western Mindanao. It was built in 1885 by Haji Abdullah Maas Nuno. The Muslim community that he nurtured and evolved around his monumental mosque is one of the most, if not the most, peaceful villages throughout Western Mindanao. The mosque also served as a madrasa or Islamic school. Today, a separate madrasa in Talugsangay teaches contemporary subjects like Islamic jurisprudence, Sharia law, Hadith or Prophet Muhammad's sayings, Arabic language, and the traditional values, morals, and proper social behavior. Talugsangay was the first center of Islamic propagation in the Zamboanga Peninsula. Muslim religious missionaries from Arabia, India, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Borneo have been flocking to this village. A representative of the Sultan of Turkey, Sheikh al-Islam, visited this place in 1914. At the height of the Moro National Liberation Front conflict in 1973, members of the Quadripartite Committee, Generals Fidel V. Ramos and Romeo Espino, visited Talugsangay village. Even during the 1970s, tourists continued to arrive in this historical village. When MNLF Chief Nur Biswari returned to Zamboanga in 1986, after decades of self-exile in the Middle East, to start peace talks with then-President Corazon Aquino, he came to pray in the Talugsangay Mosque. The National Historical Commission has declared the mosque a historical landmark, and a plaque bearing the proclamation hangs on the wall of the main entrance. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
Up next, authorities rescue over 100 suspected victims of illegal recruitment and human trafficking. Malacanang employees donate blood for elderly patients. These and more when the PNA Newsroom returns.
Class, siya ang ating school nurse.
Oo mga bata, nandito ako ngayon para ituro ang 4S kontra dengue. Unang S, search and destroy breeding places. Pangalawang S, seek early consultation. Pangatlong S, self-protection measures. At pang-apat na S, say yes to fogging in times of outbreak.
Naintindihan niyo ba, class? Ano ang dapat gawin?
Mag-4S kontra dengue!
Ano nga yun, class?
The Interagency Council Against Human Trafficking, or IACAT, has filed cases against 2 recruitment agencies and rescued a total of 176 victims. IACAT Operations Center head Ramon Yap says they have recommended filing charges of human trafficking and illegal recruitment against Global Connect Manpower Resources and Development and Lizil International Manpower Agency. Yap said the IACAT was able to rescue from Global 137 victims, including 25 minors who were each offered jobs as household service workers in Saudi Arabia with a 20,000 peso salary. However, they were found padlocked inside an accommodation house while awaiting deployment. The IACAT was also able to rescue 39 female recruits, 7 of whom were minors from Lizil's accommodation house in San Andres, Bukid, Manila. The minor victims have been brought to the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD. The IACAT is the body mandated by law to coordinate and monitor the implementation of the expanded Anti-Human Trafficking in Persons Act of 2012. Filipino fighter Gehe Eustaquio was crowned the official one flyweight champion early Sunday. Eustaquio beat Brazilian Adriano Moraes in the main event of One Pinnacle of Power at the Studio City Center in Macau. In a back-and-forth battle that ended in a split decision, it was the erstwhile interim champ's striking prowess that prevailed over the Brazilian former champ's ground game to unify both belts. Eustaquio's fellow Team Lakay member Danny Kingad also won in Macau, earning a unanimous decision victory over China's Ma Haobin in a possible title contender match. However, fellow Lakay fighter Edward Kelly lost to Naran Tungalag Jadam Baa of Mongolia via second-round ground and pound TKO. Kelly also saw his featherweight division knockout record getting shattered when China's Li Kai-wen knocked out Filipino Rodian Menchavez in just 10 seconds. In the other title fight, Xiong Jingnan of China successfully defended the one women's strawweight world championship, defeating South American contender Laura Ballin. 2 Filipinos were among the finishers of the world's oldest 100-mile train race in the United States. U.S.-based Conrado June Bermudez Jr., a Gold Cross Scout Ranger awardee, finished the Western States Endurance Run at 142nd place in 25 hours, 36 minutes, and 3 seconds. Meanwhile, seasoned runner Jovencio Luspian of Mangkayan Benguet finished the race within 28 hours and 3 seconds. The Western States 100-mile endurance run, which was the first held in 1974, starts in Squaw Valley, California, near the site of the 1960 Winter Olympics and ends in Auburn, California. For our featured story, Malacanang employees held their yearly bloodletting activity to reach out to elderly patients. More on this report from Maricor Zapata.
Employees of Malacanang have once more shown their love for the elderly through blood donation for lolos and lolas during their annual bloodletting activity on Friday. The event was spearheaded by the News and Information Bureau in partnership with the Department of Health's Philippine Blood Center, or PBC. The bloodletting activity was held at the Mesla Conference Room in Malacanang. Lucrecia Roque, NIB Special Projects Officer, said they chose the senior citizens of the community daycare of the Jose R. Reyes Memorial Medical Center, Department of Geriatric and General Health Services, Annex, as yearly recipients. This, she points out, is their way to give back to the elderly. The move is also in support of the call of the DOH to establish safe blood donation centers. The Malacanang employees also do this same activity in the month of October during the Elderly Filipino Week celebration. Employees have various reasons for regularly participating in the bloodletting. Some wish to pay it forward, while others enjoy the health benefits of donating blood. PBC Medical Officer Dr. Jordana Jamson said bloodletting events are vital in supplying the medical requirements for treating several diseases that need constant transfusion of blood, such as hemophilia, blood dyscrasia, chronic kidney disease, cases of trauma, and heavy bleeding. She noted that for each bag donated, 3 components can be derived: plasma, platelets, and white cells, which can help 3 patients who need these blood components at the same time. Jamson said blood donors should not fear about losing blood, since part of the health benefits of donating blood is the production of new blood cells. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Here's another look at today's top stories. The Defense Department accuses CPP founder Jose Maria Sison of being insincere in holding peace talks with the government. The Presidential Communications Operations Office launches a mechanism to stop the streak of fake news. Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio warns against pyramiding scam groups operating in Davao City. And Gehe Eustaquio beats Brazilian Adriano Moraes to win the One Flyweight Championship. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. It's a Monday, a fresh new week lies ahead of us. Let's start it right by taking the word stress out of our vocabulary. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I'm William Theo. Good day.